Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. We're a little bit out from Royal Ascot, which means the racing this weekend. Well, I'm not going to blow smoke. It's modest fare, but it's competitive stuff, and we'll find you plenty of betting opportunities. That we is Steve Jones at SJ Racing Media and Charlie Poste at Charlie Poste. Always impressed he managed to get the full name on Twitter. Steve, you good?
Very good. I didn't manage to get mine. When you've got a name like me, you're about 3 million down the line. But
yeah,
that's life.
Particularly in Wales. And Charlie.
And when you got a name like mine, nobody else bloody wants it. So yeah, it was all there for me. It actually, Josh Stacey, it drives him insane, Tom, which always entertains me. The fact that I got to have my own name as my Twitter handle. So the fact that it irritates people brings great amusement to me.
Yeah, and Josh Stacey has an original Twitter page somewhere from when he was a sort of young teen, which apparently is quite embarrassing. So if anybody has found that, please do send on a link. That'd be much appreciated. Right, let's get stuck into the preview. I'll remind you, first of all, to like and subscribe. That's the most important thing. You can leave us a review as well, however you get your podcasts or however you view this, because that really helps us to provide you with the content and makes it easier for you guys to listen and watch whenever you like. So we're going to do Haydock, then we're going to do Beverley. Simple as that. Any other bets? Bish, bash, bosh. Achilles Stakes, first of all, then is the 115 at Haydock. Equilateral heads the betting at 3.3, 4.5 for regional. Sorry, 4.3 for Equilateral, 4.5 for regional. Prince of Pillow, the 3-year-old, not the greatest record in this 3-year-olds. Don't know how many have tried it. Mine 7.0. Rarsell 8.0. Clarendon House 10.0. Bigger prices the rest. Steve Jones, straight over to you.
6 in the last 10 years. 3-year-olds have tried it. 3 have been placed, so it wouldn't be the worst record in the world, but none have won. The record recently of horses drawn low. The last meeting at Haydock, not sure what was going on.
Absolute joke. To have group races decided that much by the draws. Honestly, not good.
Purely, one would suggest by watering and not consistent watering, which is not ideal. But I think there might be an overreaction to that, because obviously if they repeat that, they're going to look even more stupid than they already do. So I wouldn't be looking to the high drawn horses specifically. And that's why I've come down on a horse drawn in stall 1 at Rarsell, who, when you consider, there's a lot of pace around the low drawn horses. So I really don't think we want to get hung up on the draw bias that was the last meeting until we see evidence that it's the same, because I think it probably won't be. They might even come down the middle maybe. But Rarsell won this race last year. Mick Appleby's had a slow start to the turf season, but they are starting to run a bit better. After winning last year, it went on and won at Sandown. The Group 3 sprint there was only beaten a neck by Kadam in the King George at Glorious Goodwood, and then tried Group 1 races, which wasn't really up to, but that's no disgrace, because when you consider this is a listed race, so he's taken a bit of a drop in grade. And last time out, he was drawn 4 in the Temple Stakes, where you couldn't, when the winners or the first 4 home were 10, 13, 14 and 11, which shows you that draw bias. And before that, ran a respectable comeback run, had been in Dubai, had 3 months off, came back, was 4th in the Palace House to Vadrine on ground that would have been way too soft. So I think in Rarsell, we've got a horse who is proven in the grade, in better grade. And we know likes the track because he won the race last year. And I think is kind of been disguised what sort of form he's in through no fault of his own. So, yeah, I was mad keen to take Equilateral on, who I don't trust at all. And with Rarsell, I think we got a great chance.
So I agree with plenty there, Steve, if I can come in. I didn't want to be with Equilateral at the top of the market. Although he could, as it turns out, be well drawn. I backed Rarsell on his last 4 starts. That's twice at Meydan, at Newmarket and at Haydock last time. And the trouble is he's been unlucky or not had things work out ideally for him on all 4 starts. But I'm just going to leave him alone today because he's wrecked my head a bit, Steve. And I sort of let the draw persuade me not to back him just off the back of last time. I feel like I can't really back anything from stall 1, but I can totally see the case because he has had excuses, actually more than his last 4, because he had excuses at the back end of last season as well. I'm going to do a win and place on Mondamedge, who's another course and distance winner. If there is a draw bias again, 7 is fine. He ran well behind Chipstead at York. Quick grounds, fine. Probably ideal for him, really, although he handles good. And he could have done with a bit more of a pace meltdown last time. He ultimately wants them to go pretty quick, but they should do. And is he good enough? Probably not. But win and place, I thought he was a fair enough price at 19.0. Charlie Poste.
Yeah, I mean, I was keen to take Equilateral on 100%, like you two boys have said. I came down with Corker. I think I put him up last time at York, and he met interference when he was beat 5 lengths by Chipstead. The run before that, he fell out the gates when he was narrowly beaten by Regional, who is second favourite in this. And on his first start of the year at Newmarket, I'd say the ground was too soft behind the Dream. So I still think he has it in him to make up into a pattern quality sprinter. He's drawn in 4. As Steve said, there's a lot of pace around him, and I'm not going to desert him. I'm hoping that he just gets the rub of the green and there isn't excuses after tomorrow. And like I say, we can see where he actually is going to be and whether he can step up to that sort of grade. So Corker for me, win and place.
Lovely stuff. I think Jockey Silk's behind you, Charlie.
Yeah, as in, yeah, it's this is our sort of like office where we got the racing colours in there. Yeah. So there's all hung up neatly for the end of the season. So yeah,
beautiful.
Do they still fit?
Yeah, I mean, I try them on now and again. I don't know which ones I'll go for this evening, to be honest. Yeah, I'll make that up. I'll decide on that later, Steve. But I'll keep you in the loop, mate. Don't you worry about that.
I can imagine Francesca just being like, "Will you put your Jockey Silks on?" put the green ones on, Charlie.
I don't know if green's my colour. I prefer the blue and white ones, really. They're the ones.
Do you now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, for anyone that's interested. I mean,
good luck to whoever wears those ones next. Right. Moving on to the 150. 6 furlong for this. I don't know about you guys. I haven't looked at. No, nobody's put up the favourite. All the King's Men is also 4.33, same as Equilateral. I don't know. I'd be against him back over a sprint trip. Maybe it's a master stroke with Ryan Moorbuck, but I can't quite see it. Although Ryan was on board for the horse's last win. Mr. Wagyu is a course and distance winner, is 6.5. Silver Samurai is a course and distance winner, is 10.0. And there are bigger prices thereafter. I'm with Silver Samurai. He's drawn 14 of 14. The case has been made re the draw. He's a course and distance winner. I think very quick ground is probably what he wants. Well, he doesn't want deep ground, I don't think. So he's won on good by and large. So quick ground is okay. He has won on good to firm at Redcar as well a few seasons ago. He was progressive last year, ended up winning ultimately off a mark of 92, got up as high as 99. Probably not quite good enough thereafter, although one of the runs was on the all-weather. He's yet to win on the all-weather. I think he's a better turf horse. And now down a bit to 95 since the start of the season. So ready to win again. And he likes it here. So Silver Samurai 10.0 was very fair for me. Charlie?
I came down with Illusionist. Again, the drawn low, which might not be to his advantage, but he's back down to his last winning mark of 88. And he has got form over 6, but he's been plying over his trade in recent times over 5 furlongs. Ran well at Ripon on his reappearance behind Hyperfocus, and then just looked short of speed at York over 5, got behind, never really got into it. And I just think it's an interesting angle back up to 6. And like I say, off a mark that he's been competitive off before. If he can get out and sort of keep tabs through the first half of this race, I think he's enough ability to be taking this out of this sort of mark. Win and place option for me. I thought it was a really open race and a tricky one to pick through.
Steve, strong opinion or tepid?
Yeah, strong. Yeah, I like these sort of races. Nomadic Empire, who is, I think, about 17.0. Now, it's another one that you've got to forgive a little bit because it's not run particularly well in 2 starts this season. But David O'Mara, who trains him, is another trainer who's had a slow start to the season, but they're definitely starting to run a hell of a lot better. And Nomadic Empire is potentially very, very well handicapped. And if you go back to last season, even back to last September, was only beaten just under 2 lengths in the Portland off higher marks. Before that, had run really well in a hot sprint at the Ebor meeting. And this is a horse who's intriguing, really, because he does most of his racing over 5 furlongs. But the Portland's 5 3/4 of a furlong ran really well in that. And his record in over 6 furlongs is very good. His last win, which admittedly was a fair while ago, it was the back end of the season before last. That was over 6 furlongs. And then he backed it up over 6 furlongs. So quite why he doesn't try 6 furlongs more often is a little bit of a surprise. The fact that he's come down in the handicap so much, I think it gives him a real chance with David O'Mara going much better again. And I really like his chances. I think they play around with the headgear a little bit, so clearly he responds to a bit of that. And if the cheek pieces are back on from the visor, I see this horse being a big player at a decent price.
Yeah, 3 fair prices going up there. Q, the first 2 favourites winning the first 2 races: Silver Samurai, Illusionist, and Nomadic Empire. Handicap over 1.5 miles next, the 225 at Haydock. Cumulo Nimbus for Charlie Fellows and Harry Davis is 4.5. Good Show 6.0. Gets Shirty 7.5, 9.0 Dark Pine, Forza Auto 9.0, double figures the rest. See, there's good betting opportunities in here. Charlie and I agree with Cumulo Nimbus, a favourite we are going for. You can make the case first of all, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, look, he stepped forward well for his first start of the year at Pontefract when winning at Newmarket. He got up and won narrowly. He's only up 3. I don't think that's going to be enough to stop him. You know, he seemed to benefit from an aggressive front-running ride and the application of cheap pieces last time, which are retained. And it was more, I was keen on him, Tom, because I thought it was a pretty weak contest. You know, Keith Dalglish's horse, Good Show, won again in a blanket finish on his last start. And beyond that, I thought you could pick holes in plenty of these. I just thought as a 4-year-old coming forward, he was a solid one in a race full of plenty of exposed horses that find winning difficult, if I'm honest. And then I didn't see heaps of pace in against him, so there's the possibility that he could get out on the front end and have it pretty easy in front this time again as well.
That was my main angle in, to be honest. I think when it's quick ground here, you can really nick it on the round course. And I just hope they revert to the tactics they used at Newmarket. Maybe they won't, I don't know. Maybe it was just a Newmarket thing, but that was Harry Davis on board first time. I'm sure they'll do that again. Cheap pieces on first time, last time. So I'm sure they'll just try and repeat that trick. There's nothing else that will or is likely to go forward with him. You never quite know, do you? But maybe others will look at the race and think, well, there's not much pace on. We'll try and dominate. But if he can dominate, he should take a bit of beating, I would hope. The yard, there was a bit of a cloud over it, but they're in better nick now. So Steve didn't even react to that one. Nothing. I was pleased with that. Why don't you like Cumulo Nimbus, Steve?
I get that now. It's too early for me to get gags like that. I don't mind Cumulo Nimbus. I think he's the solid one at the top of the betting. I know, that's why I didn't go for it. Because, anyway, one thing I can say is live your dream. It's good motto for life, that, live your dream. But one man who has been living the dream again after years and years of being the second Godolphin trainer, having had so much success, is Saeed bin Saror. Now, won the Guinness, and obviously he doesn't have the firepower that he once had. In fact, how many horses has he run since the start of May? He's only run 16 horses. 5 of them have won. And last night he had another one go very, very close. So he's got to stay. And of course, he won the 1,000 Guineas as well. He's got his stable in sparkling form. And Live Your Dream, who hasn't been seen for 20 months, something like that, won first time out off a similar absence a couple of years ago, and then progressed through the ranks a bit. Now, this horse stays very well. So the only worry I've got is, like you say, it doesn't seem a huge amount of pace. He's got winning form over 2 miles. This is just shy of over 1.5 miles. But he has got a good pace. I mean, he won twice at Newcastle over 1.2 miles earlier in his career. and he's a horse that I think is very interesting coming off the back of that break. These days, especially with top flat yards, I never ever worry about horses making their return from long absences, because I think if you're going to return a horse who's clearly had problems, you don't want to send him half fit, and it's very easy for them to get them fit these days. So the fact that he's won first time out off a similar absence again is a plus. He did make the running to win a 4-runner race, albeit when he was long odds on earlier in his career. Since then, he's been ridden much more patiently, but most of those have been over longer distances. So I'm taking a bit of a chance that Live Your Dream will overcome the potential pace bias, and because I think he's got a good chance, and he's been ignored in the betting at 13.0, if that's the case.
Yeah, it's a chunky old price. 4.33 for cumulonimbus. I've cocked it up now, right at the top of the betting. Next up, we're going over 1.5 miles for the 3 o'clock. It's the Leicester Pigot. It's registered as the Pinnacle Stakes. We've got a new favourite here in Madara for Roger Varian and David Egan, who is 3.75. I say that because Time Lock was favourite and is now 4.0. Mimic You is 4.5. Natros is 8.0. Sea Silk Road 9.0. Poptronic 15.0. Steve and I agree with Time Lock. It's all there, isn't it, Steve? Yada back on song, having not had a winner since January. She shaped well last time on maybe ground that was easy enough. Has won on quick before. Yeah, I think she should be favourite.
Yeah, undoubtedly. And there's a bit of a theme to my tips today, because they all seem to be from yards that have had a pretty ordinary start to the season and now in much better form. And the personification of that is Harry and Roger Charlton, who, like you say, struggled for any sort of winner until recently. And now they've just started to grind out. They've 4 winners in the last week or two, and really starting to hit form. And the fact that Time Lock could go so close and run so well in a listed race at Goodwood on her return to action and it was a really good run as well. She travelled fine, really well. Like, she travelled like the best horse in there. It was clearly a lack of a run that did for her in that race, and it might not have been the strongest race in the world, but I think she came out of that much the best. Her form from last year, it ties in very much with Mimic You, who I'd be amazed if could beat Time Lock in this. And Madara, is the kind of interesting one, having won by wide margins on the all-weather last time. Absolutely beat nothing last time, so I think people are getting too carried away with that. And Time Lock, I'm with you, sets the standard, and I think she's a really good bet. It's second favourite. I really do.
Charlie.
Yeah, Sea Silk Road for me. Purely because a bit like some of the I just can't believe that the York run represented where she's at. She was way too keen. She, like last year, she had a progressive season. She was second in the Ribblesdale at Royal Ascot on quick ground. William Haggis, again, if you read the comments when she won a listed race on soft before that at Goodwood, spoke glowingly of her. She's by the Sea the Stars, and they definitely improve with time. And he won the race with a filly with a similar-ish profile, like a relatively unexposed 4-year-old. And I think this filly fits the bill in that. And I thought she was too big at the prices. William, again, he had a slow-ish start. They were a bit in and out. I think they're running more consistently now. Again, run to form rating of 74% at the moment. So most of them are running up and around their level. And I just think with a run under her belt to sort of maybe get the gas out of her, I'd expect to see a much better performance. Tom Marquand back on as well, which for me is a plus. So just at the prices, I'd agree. I thought the favourite was too short on what she's shown, and again, this filly of Haggis's as a Group 1 entry in the Pretty Polly moving forward through the season. So she's well regarded, and I thought she's 6 or 7.0. I thought that was too big in this race.
Yeah, she's 8.0 here, so that's, I'm sure you'll agree, is fair enough then. The Sea Silk Road, 2 shouts for Time Lock from Steve and I. Then the 335, I couldn't make head nor tail of the John O'Gaunt, to be honest. 3.75 for the Astrologist. El Caballo is 4.0. Jumbie's 4.0. Jumbie's 4.0. The Wizard of Eyes 6.0. The Wizard of Eyes 6.0. Boardman 13.0. Then Gorak is outside with a bunch of triple digits. So I honestly went round the houses, and I'm a no bet. The closest I would be siding with one of the top 2 in the betting, as you are, just because I'm not sure Jumbie is worthy of being quite 4.0. For all this is a drop in grade, and the Wizard of Eye ran well last time, shaped as though it dropped back to 7 would suit, but he's the Wizard of Eye. So the Astrologist, first of all, step forward, please, Steve.
Yeah, it's more a process of elimination than anything. I'm not mad keen on this race, but the Astrologist ran very well in Dubai. I'm not a great fan of taking Dubai form at face value, but the Astrologist ran real there to be beaten just ahead in the Group 1 behind Dania, and came over to York for the Duke of York, presumably with a potentially a tilt at the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee, as the race is called this year at Royal Ascot. Didn't really do his chances much good in that race, but they're stepping up in 7 furlongs. So I thought if the Astrologist couldn't win this race, they might as well go back home.
Fair enough. And Charlie, they might have Royal Ascot plans. Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree. I think it's a bit of a dodgy race, this one. There's plenty of horses, one that probably shouldn't be as short as they are, and maybe ones with questions to answer. And El Caballo definitely comes into that fold. But I just can't get away from the fact he went off joint favourite for the Commonwealth Cup at Royal Ascot last year. Disappointed, and then bombed out at Doncaster. But I mean, surely that was because of desperately heavy ground. The worry is, though, that they used the run at Royal Ascot. The excuse was that he didn't like good to firm ground, and then heavy ground last time also put up as a reason for a disappointing show. So it's a tricky one, but I go back to the form of the Sandy Lane. He a Group 2 winner over the track, stepping up a furlong in trip now. He just, I don't know. I just think he's ran too bad to be true twice, and I can't believe that he'll go and do that for a third time. He does have the potential to be a Group 1 performer, potentially, if it all came together. And again, in a race full of horses that are pretty exposed, I thought he was the one that maybe had the profile to progress further from what the level that we're seeing right now. And he needs to be honest. But yeah, El Caballo for me, but it would be a pretty uneasy one. I wouldn't be strong about him at all.
All right, that's 1 chap for the Astrologist, 1 chap for El Caballo. The John O'Gaunt done. 205 at Beverley is next up. Again, this wasn't for me, so I'm sitting on the fence here with a no bet for this Hilary Needler over 5. It's Midnight Affair who does head the betting at 2.2. Ziggy's Phoenix is 5.0. Flora Bermuda is 6.5. Never Fear 7.0. Bigger prices the rest. Charlie, I couldn't really find a reason to take on Midnight Affair, and then she was just short enough. I think that Soprano form is pretty good. I like Soprano who won it, and Midnight Affair entitled to take a step forward for it. I think a few of Richard Fahey's have. So I just sat it out. But you are happy to take her on.
Yeah, again, I agree with all of that, and I think probably she is the filly with the greatest scope moving forward. But just at the prices, I thought Ziggy's Phoenix was backable. She's a real solid, likable sprinting 2-year-old. She was very good at Chester. The form of that has worked out okay. They also finished 3rd of Hugo Palmer's, ran well in the Woodcut next time. And then she went over to Shanti and just looked a bit short of boot, but beat 4 lengths in a listed race there. Back to Beverley, I thought the stiffer track would suit her well. This is her 5th start, so she's ultra professional. If she can get away sharply and get on the front end, I just felt she might have a bit too much experience maybe for Midnight Affair, and at the prices 5.0, I thought she was backable because of that. For all that I agree with you that there are probably horses in here with greater scope to improve beyond her as the season progresses.
Steve, what would you like to add?
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, I thought the stiffer track would certainly help Ziggy's Phoenix. And it's that old kind of early season 2-year-old race where it's the potential, the promise versus the experience. And quite often the experience, like Charlie said, was it comes out on top of horses that will improve past her later in the season. So, yeah, Ziggy's Phoenix for me.
Okay, next up, there's 2 shots for Ziggy's Phoenix there against the favourite in the Hillary Needler. And next up, we go to 7.5 furlongs, where Hugo Gregory is a course and distance winner who ran well her last time. 5.0, 5.5 for Miss Britain. United Front is 6.5, 7.5 Ascot Adventure, Mintil 9, Outrun the Storm 10.0. Then we get stuck into the double figures. 3 different horses going up. I'll come to you, Charlie, because you are with the favourite.
Yeah, I mean, he loves Beverley. He's off 68. He just got chinned the last day over the same course and distance. He's up 3, but I mean, again, looking at his back class, a couple of years ago, this horse that was well able to be very competitive and marks right up in the 80s, and he's well drawn. And I thought he got an ultra aggressive ride the last day from David Allen, who's back on board today. I just thought with a little bit more restraint, maybe tomorrow, it would see him good enough to take this race out. But again, I mean, it's a fairly ordinary contest for a race on terrestrial TV, and my strength for him was more on the fact that there were plenty of horses that are out of form or better on the all weather than the turf, and Beverley is a tricky track, especially around that round course. And this lad, he seems to run it particularly well. And I just thought there was plenty in his favour that you'd struggle not to see him in the shake-up. And like I say, he after his 3 runs already this season, he deserves to go one better. And the price I thought was fair enough, actually, in what is an open contest.
Yeah, so I wasn't dead against Hugo Gregory, who clearly likes it here. I guess I felt that, last time, if he couldn't win that last time, he's up £3 in on paper a better race. But say on paper a better race is in the conditions of it, but it's not that deep. He's going to be there or thereabouts, isn't he? Miss Britain, I felt probably wants a slightly easier ground. United Front, I am still a bit concerned about the Appleby horses, and I thought he might want a little bit further. Ascot Adventure's out of form and short enough at it. And then I got to Floral Splendor at 11.0, and I will back her win and place. Oh, I mean, it wasn't a great run last time, but she did get stopped. She didn't have a chance to go through with her run. She might have finished a little bit closer. Her last win was on her debut. She came on quick ground over 7. She definitely wants quick ground. So there have been excuses the last 3 starts before York. Last time was a bit disappointing, but it was a better race than this. And I think she's got a chance of definitely getting in the frame anyway. So I'll go with her win and place, but it's not overly confident. I wanted to find something at price because I didn't love those towards the top of the betting. Steve?
Yeah, Ascot Adventure. Yeah, definitely out of form. But again, coming from David O'Mara's yard, I expect this horse to come good at some point, especially with him going so well at the moment. And this horse has only had 2 runs for David O'Mara, had been with Clive Cox and showed good form last season in patches, especially over this sort of distance. It seems to be a 7 furlong specialist. And that is kind of a good thing to have over this distance, that's for sure. And if he does come back to his form, he's again a horse that is really, really well treated. And with someone like David O'Mara, who's now hitting form, I'm willing to take the chance that he can get this horse back in decent shape, Ascot Adventure. And if that's the case, it's going to go very well.
Okay, Floral Splendor, Hugo Gregory, Ascot Adventure. Hopefully we've got it right between us. Last up is the 2-year-old trophy. We're over 5 again for this at Beverley. More potentially nice juveniles on shot. And we've all gone for the same horse, Fusterlandia. I don't know who's most confident. I'm sort of trying to gauge people's Go on, give me an idea, Charlie, Steve. Who's particularly confident?
Yeah, I put him up as my best bet. So
go on then.
Yeah.
Take it away.
I mean, look, one, the owners team, they've got a seriously good bunch of horses right now, and including in the 2-year-old division. And I just thought at Leicester the last day, geez, this horse travelled incredibly strong. Look, the winner everywhere, and got chinned by Golden Mind, the horse of Richard Fahey's. It wasn't Kevin Stott's fault, but the way the race unfolded, he travelled so well up near the pace that he almost. I just wonder if he ended up in front a bit long. Was still looked a bit babyish under pressure, and like I say, got chinned by one that flashed by him and he didn't have a chance to respond. I think the fact that we're now coming back a furlong in trip with a run under his belt has to be a serious positive, because he just travelled so well. He travelled like a very good horse, I thought, like a potential Royal Ascot 2-year-old. And for that reason, I thought he had loads of upside. And the fact that he's 4.0 was, I thought, very, very reasonable price. And I really like this horse. Like I say, I thought the way he went through his race marked him up as a horse with a serious amount of potential.
And over this distance, a handy or a good draw, an ability to get handy is a big plus. And like the way he went last time, I feel that he will be in the lead and hopefully will stay there. Quick round's obviously not a problem. And the level of that run, I would rather back him getting £4 from the 2 previous winners. For all, one of them was a course and distance winner, and the other one absolutely smashed up, having been well supported. So Fusterlandia just about for me at 4.0, but it's tight at the top, Steve.
Yeah, I just think that run of Fusterlandia at Leicester were better than the winners, because when you consider the Godolphin horse, who'd run very well at York, Impressive Act, was 5 lengths back in third, having made the running. So you wouldn't make too many excuses for that. So I thought it was a very good performance. And like Charlie said, the horse travelled so well, you can see why they're stepping back to 5 furlongs, especially on a stiff track. And it reminds me a lot of last year's winner, Chateau, beaten first time up, a little bit unlucky. And Chateau did everything he could to try and lose this race last year, got in all sorts of trouble. But with that draw on the rail, Kevin Stott can keep it pretty simple, especially over 5 furlongs, having run over 6 first time. So yeah, I'm very keen on Fusterlandia, I must say.
All right, the team steam, good. That is all 8 races done. Is it 8? It is, I think it is. We can come to Matchbook Zero long shot. So Matchbook Zero, there is 0 commission, 0 margin, 0 commission on Matchbook Zero. The odds are up from 10 a.m. each day. The markets are open. They'll match the exchange prices, but there is 0 commission. You're most likely to be getting best odds with the nature of the Matchbook exchange itself. And the fact there's 0 margin, 0 commission here means that factor is only enhanced more. £20 win is your maximum bet there for the Matchbook Zero platform. So bear that in mind, but well worth taking advantage of if you've never used an exchange, or even if you have and if you're searching for better odds. Mine is Mondamedge. Yes, up in grade, but a fair old price. And I think compared to your sports books, you'll be able to price up and get a decent price on Mondamedge in the 115 at Haydock. You're also looking in that race, Charlie?
Yeah, we're going with Corker. Like I say, had excuses every start this season for all that he's ran pretty reasonable. And yeah, I take him to, fingers crossed, get a clear shot at this and have no excuses more than anything. But I think the price is very fair in what looks an open contest. And
Steve?
Nomadic Empire in the 150 at Haydock, who I think is going to return to form.
All right, those are the Matchbook Zero long shots, 0 margin, 0 commission with Matchbook Zero. Well worth checking out. Then we come to best lays. I feel like we were all hinting at this, but Steve's the only one brave enough to actually place lay equilateral.
Yeah, it's just a horse I don't trust, and it tends to be that sort of horse that runs better than expected in good races, Group 1s and Group 2s. But when it comes down to this sort of level, still struggles to win. His last win in Britain, you have to go way, 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 way back to Doncaster of 2019 in a listed race. And since then, and he ran in 2 listed races last season. Within the last year at Doncaster at the back end at the Ledger meeting when finished 7th of 8, and then at Maidan when finishing midfield in a listed race there, a handicap. So I think I just don't trust him, and quite happy to take him on to place.
And the other factor I'll just add to that, I might join you here, is I think the time to catch him is fresh, and that was probably last time. He's back after 2 weeks off, and he had the perfect draw last time, and still couldn't and placed, but couldn't win. Yeah, I'm going to do it, Steve. I'm going to do it.
I thought you'd put. I was a bit disappointed you didn't put the German horse up in that time lock race, because you're very smug when the German horse got beaten or stuffed in the Coronation Cup.
I was being goaded by our former colleague Sam Turner, and I couldn't help myself just to wind you up. Right, best bets, late or just gentlemen. As our producer points out, the horse was really well backed. Great.
Yeah, Dan Hussey and I, we had the trade, didn't we? See, we flagged him up. Yeah. You know it.
Yeah, that was the angle. You were right, actually. To be fair, Dan said this horse will get absolutely hammered, and he was hammered.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to best bets. My best bet is Time Lock in the 3 o'clock at Haydock. Steve?
My best bet is Time Lock in the 3 o'clock at Haydock, and the only thing that puts me off, the only negatives, is that Tom Stanley's tipped it as well.
Thanks, mate. Charlie Poste, your best bet?
Yeah, Fusterlandia in the 3:15 at Beverley, just for all those reasons we touched on just before.
Excellent. Steve, thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, and you.
Charlie, thank you very much. Enjoy tonight in the blue and white colours behind you. Have a good one.
Very nice. Thanks, mate.
And everyone have a lovely weekend. Incidentally, Royal Ascot, we're going to have a couple of pods for you, so that's week after next. Just keep your eye out for that. There'll be plenty of details about when those pods are going to land. We'll likely do a preview on the Monday, and then one midweek as well. Still to work out, but certainly pencil in a Monday for your diary for all things Royal Ascot, because it's not too far away. First and foremost, check out Insights for a recap of all of our best bets when they go up a little bit later on today, and have a tremendous weekend. Bye-bye.